Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto absorbs Orochimaru, part 1. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Orochimaru raised his hand to Naruto's stomach, glowing symbols on each of his fingers, one for each of the 5 elements. But before he could make contact with the demon container, a kunai flew from an unexpected direction, nearly striking him. He dodged it at the last second, and noticed out of the corner of his eye that the corrosive demonic chakra was starting to burn his tongue. Orochimaru growled under his breath, and threw the kid hard into a tree, with more than enough force to knock him unconscious. Orochimaru lashed out with his tongue to knock out the pink-haired girl, who had been the one that stopped him from sealing the Kyubi container. She had literally been such a non-threat that he had forgotten he was there, a mistake he was most certainly going to rectify. With a single blow from his tongue, she fell onto the branch she had been standing on, totally unconscious, and Orochimaru turned to the last standing member of Team 7. He cursed under his breath, sensing the approach of a different curse seal. If Anko arrived, and saw that he had marked Sasuke with the curse seal, there was no telling what she would do. She hated him with such a passion that if she saw the seal on the Uchiha, she was just as likely to simply kill him as she was to treat him, and Orochimaru wasn't going to risk losing his future host to something as mundane as assassination. Orochimaru extended his neck, and shot towards his target. Instantly, he knew something was off. There was a chakra moving around, one that he was sure he had knocked out just moments ago. Unfortunately, there was nothing he could do at this point, with the enzyme already welling up in his artificial fangs. To stop now could be disastrous for everyone involved. So, not quite praying that nothing went wrong, not exactly being a religious man, Orochimaru bit down. Instantly, he knew his half-serious prayer had gone unanswered. He had gotten the scent of Sasuke earlier, and it was nothing like this. This smelled more like sweat and foxes. Shit. Foxes. Orochimaru withdrew his neck, cursing mentally as he did. And indeed, there he was, the container of the 9-tailed fox. He stood with arms spread, and his back facing Orochimaru, clearly trying to protect the paralyzed Uchiha. On his neck were 2 fang marks, Orochimaru's signature, around which was developing the distinctive shape of the cursed seal of heaven. Orochimaru was furious. He had been thwarted, not something that happened often. Not only that, but he had wasted a precious heaven seal, and he had no earth seal enzymes with him, meaning that he wouldn't be able to give Sasuke the power or enforce loyalty of his 2 most powerful seals. And on top of all that, there was no guarantee that the seal would work against the demonic container anyway. He had never tried something like that before, never having felt the need. All in all, a very bad investment. Still, if the seal killed or crippled the Kyubi boy, Konoha would be weakened, and if all it did was work the way it was supposed to, he would gain a potentially powerful loyal servant. Although he couldn't possess the boy for fear of the Kyubi, he could still use him as a tool, a weapon. Not entirely satisfied, Orochimaru nevertheless slithered away with a smirk on his face. It might not have gone exactly as he had planned, but hell, there was always next year. Sasuke stared up at the grinning face of Naruto, still shocked, unable to move. The strange man had slid off into the forest a few moments ago, but that hardly registered. What was rushing through his head at the moment was the simple fact that Naruto, the dead last, the absolute loser, had just saved his life. Twice. What the hell? Still, when Naruto collapsed, Sasuke instinctively moved to catch him. He craned his neck, struggling under the weight of Naruto, and saw that Sakura was unconscious as well. Sighing, he surged chakra through his body, and lifted Naruto onto his back completely, cursing inwardly as he felt the immense fever his blonde teammate was running. Sasuke managed to hop through the trees to where Sakura was lying, and scoop her up, wishing he could make solid clones like Naruto could. Nevertheless, he managed, lifting his other teammate, and placing her on his shoulder. Sasuke looked around for a moment, and spotted a clearing in the distance. He grinned lightly, and jumped off towards it. Soon, he had arrived, panting slightly under the weight of his 2 teammates. He walked over to a hollow in a nearby tree, and gently set down his 2 teammates, noticing that, although Sakura was starting to stir, Naruto was still totally out of it, and was actually, if anything, running an even higher fever than before. Sighing, Sasuke pulled out his canteen, and poured some water on a rag. He placed the rag on Naruto's head, and started to wipe away some of the sweat that had accumulated there. Even as Sakura started to wake up, Sasuke sighed. This was going to suck. Anko shot out of the trees, and skidded to a halt. There he was. The monster, the demon, the creature that had tossed her aside like yesterday's trash, the beast that had ruined her life, and betrayed her trust. There he was. Her teacher, her confidant, her father figure, the first person she had ever truly loved. Even as she stared at him, Anko saw both Orochimaru's, the cruel uncaring monster, and the kind loving sensei. It was impossible to reconcile the 2 images, so, in the first meeting with her old teacher in nearly 10 years, Anko just attacked both of them, just like last time. Both of them were good enough to kill. The opening blows were exchanged, and Anko found herself being driven back. She felt the cursed seal trying to rise up, her own seal of heaven trying to gain control, to take the forefront, but as she had 100 times before, she forced it down. Instantly she collapsed down onto the tree branch she was standing on, pain surging through her neck as it had every time before. Memories flashed before her eyes, but she ignored them in favor of what was before her. Orochimaru. What are you doing here? Orochimaru smirked, and Anko knew he knew what she was doing. She was buying herself enough time to suppress the seal. He couldn't help but knew it, he was basically controlling the damn thing. Still, she knew that he would indulge her. As it was, he would be underestimating her, thinking her too weak. That knowledge burned, and a plan started to form, born half of madness, and half of desperation. Still, she had to recover first. I'm disappointed in you, Anko, to use such an obvious ploy. I had thought my little viper would be a little smarter. She cursed mentally, but kept up the tough girl facade, still gripping her neck where the damnable seal was, trying to ignore the crippling pain. Why are you here? What are you after? She was rather surprised to see him frown. The Sharingan, dear viper. Unfortunately, I have been delayed, but that means nothing. In due time, it shall become mine, just like everything else, you included. Anko's eyes widened, and Orochimaru cackled. Yes, my dear viper, you have guessed correctly. I have discovered the secret of immortality. Then, before Anko could even put her double suicide plan into action, Orochimaru was gone, and before the darkness closed in, Anko cursed herself, as Orochimaru escaped once more. Naruto opened his eyes, and stared at where the sky should have been. Unfortunately, it wasn't there. He sat up, and looked around. It was, to be honest, the last place he had expected to find himself. Namely, a sewer. A very badly maintained sewer. The walls were crumbling, broken, with an odd, evil-feeling black liquid leaking out of them. Multicolored pipes ran along the ceiling, each glowing with several different colored liquids flowing through them. And more than just that, the whole place was filled with the sounds of heavy breathing, like some monstrous creature in the distance was panting furiously. Naruto rose to his feet, and started to walk, guided by his instincts, and the sound of the breathing. Eventually, after seconds that felt like days, or days that felt like seconds, Naruto had arrived at the source. It was a giant steel cage, with massive black bars rising into the ceiling, completely out of sight. Behind the cage was a massive face, all that was visible of the panting creature. The creature spoke, its face contorted into a grimace, of pain or annoyance Naruto couldn't tell. Brat. What have you done? Naruto stared up at it, and felt his long-clouded senses start to clear. Are you Kyuubi? Yes. What have you done, brat? What is this black chakra, and why have you let it into your body? Hey, I didn't do it. It was that stupid snake guy, he bit me. The creature roared, and Naruto took an instinctive step backwards, fear flashing through his heart for just an instant before it was gone once more. You fool. You let a foe bite you. This chakra is no normal chakra, it is an enzyme, and even now, it is trying to take over your body. What? Wait, the thing is trying to take over my body. Before Naruto could really start panicking, the demon roared again, freezing him in place. Silence. If you think that I would let a mere human take over the body of my host, you are sorely mistaken. This enzyme shall not succeed, no matter what, although there will undoubtedly be side effects. What do you mean? What are you going to do? I am already doing it. The enzyme is struggling to take you over, but I already exert a great influence over your body. It isn't enough to do what I actually want to do, but it is more than enough to destroy the diseased chakra, and free you from its influence. Of course, with this much disease in your body, the seal has weakened, a true boon. Oh no. Kyubi is escaping. UGHHH. Another roar, another flash of fear, and Naruto was silenced. You are a fool. If I was escaping, you would know. No, that isn't the part of the seal being weakened by this foul invader. It is targeting the pain-giving portions of the seal, as well as the parts that were slowly destroying my body. In other words, where before I was dying, now I live, and I live a life without pain. This is the most beneficial side effect, as far as I'm concerned. Naruto frowned, and plopped down into the murky sewer water, noting in the back of his mind that it wasn't making him wet. Why was the seal causing you pain? And why was it destroying you? The Kyuubi growled, a deep sound, far more menacing than the roar, and once again, Naruto felt the fear, far stronger than any of the previous, but somehow, less than it should have been. The fourth Hokage, when he sealed me and you, decided that it would be better if he made his own seal, rather than using the tried and true Uzumaki version of the seal. He doubled up on the 4-point seal, creating his own version, the 8-point seal. He intended to destroy me bit by bit, and feed my chakra to you, however, he failed. Despite his genius, he was both only human, and not an Uzumaki. This led to the seal merely gradually destroying me, and not feeding me to you at all. Not only that, but the destruction was moving at an incredibly slow rate, to the point that my death would only have come in 1,000 years, if not more. Well, that seems pointless. Indeed. However, when you died, so would I, unless I broke free first. Furthermore, the immense pain I was being put through made me most eager to escape. Wait, why was the seal hurting you again? If the seal had worked as it was supposed to, I would have been desperate to escape before being completely absorbed around the time you turned 18. A pain was added to the seal to keep me from resisting it all, but my pain tolerance was underestimated, or the seal screwed up, and I was given just enough pain to enrage me, but not enough to incapacitate me, meaning that I was slowly dying, pissed off, and trapped in you. Ouch. Yes. I've been trying to escape since the instant I was sealed away, and broke out of that stupid genjutsu. If I were to tell you all you didn't know, we would be here forever. Oh, okay. So what happens now that all of that is gone? My mind is clearer than it has been in 12.5 years, a most wonderful experience. Without the pain, and the terrible feeling of being slowly consumed, I feel whole. Soon, my body will be fully regenerated, and then, I shall act. What do you mean? I will wipe out the enzyme, and reverse the effects as much as possible. Then, we shall speak more. In the meantime, rest, allow me to recuperate, and then work. Wait, do you know what's going on outside? I know no more than you do, and neither of us will find out until you wake up. And you won't wake up until that enzyme is defeated, and I permit you to leave this place. Don't worry, your teammates will protect you. In the meantime, rest. Let me work. Naruto nodded, and felt a terrible sleepiness coming over him. He yawned, and was soon sleeping like a baby in the mysteriously dry murky water. Water which was slowly starting to clear. Most genin in this situation would feel frightened or worried, or at the very least a little nervous, but Sasuke didn't. No, what he felt was, simply put, happy. He had been on a losing streak lately, first against Haku, who had ended up losing to Naruto, and getting killed by Kakashi. Next up was Lee, who had kicked his ass around the block despite the Sharingan, and who had done it with just a jutsu, as if to add insult to injury. Finally, the snake man woman thing, who hadn't even been trying the whole time, and had actually been more threatened by Naruto than by Sasuke, the very same Naruto that had saved Sasuke's life twice in the course of the battle. Yes, Sasuke was most glad for the situation, because if a village had sent 3 genin after you just to kill you, that meant you were somebody, you were a threat, and that helped reassure his waning self-confidence. Still, as the 3 Sound Genin charged, Sasuke was rather glad to have Sakura at his side. 3-on-1 could be a challenge, even for him. The 3 genin blundered right into the trap that Sasuke and Sakura had set up beforehand. They noticed the first layer, and jumped over the discolored patch of grass that was obviously being used to hide a spike pit. Then, in midair, they found a massive pair of logs swinging towards them, one from the right, one from the left. Unfortunately, the plain-looking boy brought his hands up, and blasted powerful gusts of cutting wind out of tubes implanted in each of his arms. They landed, and suddenly found themselves in danger of being blown up by the explosive tags that Sasuke had set up. They managed to jump again, only to find another log shooting towards them, this time augmented by a boulder dropping down from above. Once again, gusts of wind shot from the boy with the tubes in his arms. This time, although the log was blown to bits, the boulder kept on coming, barely even dented by the airwaves sent at it. Nevertheless, the 3 managed to push off of each other, in an incredible display of mid-air agility, and dodge it, each of them receiving only glancing blows, with only the mummy-like leader escaping damage altogether. When the 3 of them landed, separated by the entire length of the clearing, Sasuke moved. He raced first towards the girl, who was closest, absently noting that Sakura was covering him by rapidly throwing kunai at the second closest, the uninjured mummy boy, while the third, the air tube boy, was slowly rising to his feet rubbing his head. When he was within striking range, Sasuke activates his Sharingan, and time seemed to slow. His target was struggling to gain some distance, clearly not a close-range fighter, while holding her shoulder, which had been hit, and likely broken by the boulder trap. But with the incredible abilities that the Sharingan granted him, and some of the speed he had copied from Rock Lee, it was relatively easy to strike where she was going to be. Within an instant, she was on the ground unconscious, and Sasuke was racing towards the frustrated mummy genin, who was being slowly maneuvered into position by Sakura's accurate throws. He had yet to be hit, but he clearly had no long-range attacks to retaliate with, making him easy to pin down, and hold down until Sasuke arrived, and took him out. That was when the whole plan went to hell. The air tube boy pointed his hands at Sakura, and, before Sasuke could shout a warning, shouted, "Zankuro." Sakura was stronger than when she had been an academy student, but it was clear that she never even stood a chance. The powerful air wave struck her, sending her flying into the tree where Naruto was sheltered, smashing against it with incredible force. Even as Sasuke skidded to a halt, struggling to adjust his direction so that he could help Sakura, he heard a strange ringing, and noticed that the bandaged Sound Genin that had been his original target had swung his arm, which had an odd metallic device attached to it. For a moment, Sasuke wondered why the boy had swung his arm at all, when Sasuke was still a few feet away. Then, he was on the ground, vomiting, barely even able to understand the explanation the Sound Genin was giving. "Do you like it? This is my melody arm. A single swing from this baby, and sound waves amplified by it, will be guided by my chakra into your ears. I just shattered your inner ear, destroying any sense of balance you might have had. You can't move, you're probably even having trouble breathing. We've already won. Get up. Zaku, finish him, then the girl. I'll go look for their other teammate, he has to be around here somewhere. Get up. No problem. Hear that, Uchiha? It's over. You're dead. Get up. You can't let yourself lose now, not like this. Oh, there he is, in the tree. Alright, let's finish this. Get up. Zankakyaku. The massive burst of air, 5 times more powerful than the previous, shot towards Sasuke. But he moved faster than he had ever moved before, his Sharingan letting him find the closest edge of the airwave, his speed letting him reach that edge, before the airwaves could even reach him. He tumbled, but got to his feet, shooting towards Dosu, who was poised to kill Sakura, kunai in hand, and then move on to Naruto. Sakura had only just woken up from Zaku's initial blast, and was now staring at the kunai held by Dosu, unable to move. But Sasuke was already there, driving Dosu back with a quick combo, slapping an exploding tag onto the bandaged boy's melody arm as he did. The gauntlet exploded, sending Dosu flying, even as Sasuke raced towards a still stunned Zaku. He dodged a single Zankuha, and then arrived. With a series of rapid-fire blows, he knocked Zaku out, and then landed lightly on his feet, a slight grin on his face, as he looked over the carnage the battle had caused. Dosu was unconscious, his arm still smoking lightly, metal remnants of the gauntlet he had worn embedded in it. Zaku was unconscious, and covered in bruises, and the girl was getting up. Even as Sasuke was preparing a rush, she held up her hands, and waved them around rapidly in surrender. He hesitated, but remained on guard. Don't attack. If you beat all of us, I can't take you alone. Just let me pick up my teammates, and leave. Sasuke nodded, but kept an eye on her as she moved. She soon had easily hoisted both her teammates onto her shoulder, showing impressive physical strength, and was just starting to walk away when Sakura called out, "Wait." The girl turned, hesitance clear in her eyes, when Sakura said, "Give us your scroll, or we won't let you go." The girl almost snorted, since Sakura had done basically nothing other than distract Dosu, but reached into the bandaged boy's pouch, and grabbed a scroll anyway. She tossed it to Sasuke, and then turned, and walked away, disappearing into the trees. Wake up. Naruto shot to his feet, randomly throwing weapons in every direction, stunned by the sudden roar. Stop throwing sharp objects at me. Naruto stopped. Finally, I've spent the last 5 minutes trying to wake you. Well, I'm up now. What do you want, you stupid fox? Show some gratitude, brat. I just saved your life from that enzyme, and this is the thanks I get. Oh, so you're done? Yes I am, and I must say, it was easier than it should have been. Those enzymes weren't as strong as I thought they were, more of a curse than a disease to be honest. Alright, so what is the point? Brat, you need help. Now that I'm not fighting that stupid black chakra, I've taken the liberty of packing through your memories, and I have a long series of bones to pick with you. You've been looking through my memories. You jerk. Hey, this is my body too. Oh, right, you're an idiot. Hey, shut up and listen. First, you've been training wrong your whole life. You throw weapons wrong, you fight wrong, you go through hand seals wrong, and you practice your chakra control wrong. It is simply amazing how wrong you are. Well, no one ever taught me how to do it right. I know, I saw it all. You had some really bad teachers. Honestly, it's a miracle that you're as good as you are with all the crappy teaching. Thanks I guess. No problem. Except for the problem, of course. Namely, if you die, so do I, despite the weakening of the seal. Now that I could care less about escape, seeing how odds are good it will kill me trying, I have a new priority. What's that? Make you strong enough to live through everything the world can show you. With the healing I grant you, aging isn't a factor, you'll stop around 20. However, other people can kill you, despite the effort it takes to do so. As a result, I am going to be giving you proper training from now on. I've got a theory that might let me talk to you when you're conscious, and if it works, I'm going to start teaching you the proper way. Awesome. Will you teach me how to use your chakra? No, that's mine. It hurts you when you take it, it hurts me when it's taken, and you don't need it anyway. No, rather, I will teach you what you should have been taught in the first place, and then what would normally be taught to you in the future, but undoubtedly won't be. Cool. In the meantime, you should probably head outside. It would be a shame for someone to kill us while you're unconscious, that would ruin everything. Grinning, Naruto nodded in agreement, and closed his eyes. Shikamaru was smiling lightly as he lazily stepped out of the bushes. No one was entirely sure how one managed to lazily emerge from bushes, but Shikamaru, being Shikamaru, had managed it. Ino was glaring at Sakura as she emerged moments later, and Choji was furiously munching, trying to hide his nerves, as he walked out last. Sasuke and Sakura, both tired from their previous battle, could only stare. Shikamaru sighed. Hey. You don't mind handing over your scrolls without a fight, do you? Sakura shot to her feet, and Sasuke tensed, as Ino continued Shikamaru's explanation. Sorry about this forehead, but we really do need them. You guys have Sasuke, you can get more scrolls. Ino pig, you traitor. You're going to attack Sasuke-kun. Sasuke snorted as Ino responded. Of course not. I'm supposed to beat you, which should be easy enough. After all, you always were weaker than me. Sakura growled, and as the two kunoichis started circling each other, Sasuke turned towards the two that were facing him, namely, Shikamaru and Choji. And how do you expect to beat me? The two male ninja grinned at Sasuke, and Shikamaru raised his hands, making them visible, revealing the seal they were in. Suddenly, Sasuke found himself frozen, unable to move, and then forced to imitate Shikamaru's every move as the pineapple-haired boy said, "We already have. You forgot to watch your shadow." Sasuke cursed inwardly as Choji started racing through hand seals, preparing the power-packed meat tank move his clan was known for. He should never have forgotten the Nara clan's shadow possession moves, and now he was going to pay for it by being run over by a ball of Akimichi blubber. Not a pleasant way to lose a fight. But before Choji could finish his seals and turn into a ball of rolling fat, there was a cry, and then 100 cries. The first cry was, "Shadow Clone Jutsu." The 100 identical cries, which came shortly after the first, were, "I'm back baby." The fighting ground to a halt. Ino, looking around at 100 identical copies, then proceeded to glance at the original. "All we have to do is find the real one, right? A bunch of clones can't hurt us. You're just as dumb as I thought Naruto was." Then, she noticed the smirk on Sakura's face. Then, she turned to her teammates, and noticed that Shikamaru had paled, while Choji appeared frozen, almost as if he was afraid of Naruto. "Shikamaru, Choji, what's wrong? So what if he can make a bunch of clones, who cares?" Shikamaru spoke in an unnecessarily low voice, almost as if he was trying not to provoke a wild animal. "You know those clones," they all shouted. "When they move, the tree branches they're standing on move as well. They're solid, each and every one of them." The clones all smiled as one, and Ino glanced around, taking note of what Choji and Shikamaru had noticed right away. Ino paled. Shikamaru chuckled and said, I guess we should get going then. Thanks for the talk." And with that, Team 10 retreated at high speed, leaving Sasuke, Sakura, and 100 or so Narutos behind. Then, all but one Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke, and it was just the three of them. Sakura immediately moved towards Naruto and smacked him on the head, hard, saying, "Don't worry about me like that." Naruto staggered back a bit, and then straightened up, chuckling. "Sorry about that, Sakura-chan, I didn't mean to." Then, he froze. He seemed to stare off into space, and then furrowed his brows, as if angry. A moment later, his eyebrows raised, and then he frowned. Once the odd series of facial positions was all done, he turned to Sakura, a sad look on his face, and said, "Actually Sakura, I'd really like it if you'd stop hitting me." She seemed stunned, and then frowned. "Why? Apparently it hurts me." "Alright, I guess I can stop if you really want me to." Sasuke took a step forward, and Naruto turned to face his other teammate. Then, the blonde boy smiled madly. "Hey there Sasuke. Are you all done crying?" Sasuke growled and stalked forward, but Naruto just laughed, and Sasuke stopped stalking, and instead entered what he called glare mode, where he refused to do anything other than glare until he absolutely had to. It was ideal for avoiding fangirls like Sakura and Ino, and he had used it often in the past to great effect. Unfortunately, it had never seemed to faze Naruto. "Hey, do we still have our scroll?" Sasuke dropped his glare and smirked instead. "Actually, yes. Not just that, we got the other scroll too. We're done, let's get going." Naruto grinned and walked up to Sasuke. They both turned to look at Sakura, who walked over to join them, deliberately avoiding Naruto's eyes. Sasuke frowned a little at that, but decided it was no trouble. He ignored her and Naruto, and it didn't affect their teamwork at all, so one more uncooperative teammate would just make him ignoring them easier. "Iruka-sensei. Naruto. You made it through already." "Hey, don't sound so surprised, sensei. Well, it's only been 2 days. You're probably one of the first teams here, and you guys are just rookies, so yeah, I'm a little surprised. I always knew you would pass through." "Eh? Iruka-sensei is going to buy me ramen." "Wait, what? When did I say that?" Sakura took this chance to step forward and say, "Iruka-sensei. What does that poster mean?" Iruka glanced around for a moment, and then nodded in understanding. "Ah yes, of course. I'm actually supposed to explain it to you, so Naruto, quiet down, and pay attention." Naruto did so. "If you lack heaven, search for learning and wisdom. If you lack earth, run in the fields, and seek strength. He who possesses both heaven and earth can succeed in any task." This is the motto for Konoha Chunin, first set by the third Hokage himself. What it means is if, like Sakura, you are strong in mind, but weak in body, you should train physically until your weakness is resolved. If, like Naruto, you are strong in body, but weak in mind, you should work in places like the library, and grow your brain until it matches your body. However, if, like Sasuke, you are strong in mind and body, you shall be the pinnacle of strength, and can defeat any challenge you face. Sasuke smirked, and Sakura seemed to wither in a little bit, obviously not having expected the saying on the wall to turn into a criticism of her talents. However, when Iruka looked at Naruto, he was surprised to see that Naruto was nodding, almost wisely. Then, he sighed. He has seen this before. "Naruto, you didn't understand a word I said, did you?" "Hey sensei, no fair. I mean, I didn't, but I do now. You just said I had to get smarter, so I will." Iruka nodded, honestly surprised. "Naruto, good job getting that. I might have underestimated you a bit." "Thanks, sensei. I'll get smarter, believe it." Iruka smiled and said, "Hey, after the exams, I think I might get you that ramen after all." "Eh? Ramen? Now, because you three arrived 3 days before the end of the second exam, you're all going to have to stay here for the remainder of the allotted time, in other words, 3 more days. Rest up, relax, maybe get some training in, really, you can do whatever you want, as long as you don't leave this tower. Rooms are on the 3rd floor, each team gets their own room, so you three are going to have to share. Training grounds are underground, there are nearly a dozen of them from what I understand, and there's a library on the 4th floor, if that interests you. Cafeteria is on the 2nd floor, and the food is free, although I don't think they serve ramen. Nuo. Ramen. Sorry Naruto, and congratulations once again on passing the 2nd exam. Alright Fox, how are we going to start this? Simple. You need to study. What? No way, not happening. I hate studying, it's boring. I don't particularly care if it's boring. Let me put this in terms you understand, smart good dumb bad. You dumb, now go work, or Kyubi sings show tunes. Got it. Alright. Library was on the 4th floor, right. On the 3rd day, teammates staggered into the tower, exhausted by their ordeal in the forest of death, and honestly still a little frightened by the massacre they had seen on the first day, and their own subsequent brush with death. They were greeted by a chunin they had never met before, which did nothing to calm their nerves. The quote was explained, and they were sent on their way. Almost immediately, Hinata activated her Byakugan to check and see if anyone she knew had made it. With her admittedly limited range, she was able to see both Sakura and Sasuke walking down the halls, Sakura trying to follow him. Upon seeing these two members of Team 7, she immediately realized that Naruto, her crush, and Sasuke also had to be in the tower somewhere. Immediately, she excused herself from her team and headed downstairs towards where the chunin had said that the training grounds were. This was Naruto, after all, and she knew from years of following him that if he had any spare time at all, he would train, even if it was rarely in the proper methods, it was still training, and it was at the training grounds that she was confident he would be found. However, upon arrival, and hours of searching, she found nothing. Growing frustrated with her inability to find her crush, Hinata decided to check the next likeliest place, the cafeteria. But even there, Naruto was nowhere to be found. She activated her Byakugan, and went back down to the bottom of the tower. Soon, she was slowly moving up, methodically sweeping the tower from bottom to top. Much to her surprise, it was on the 4th floor that she found the orange-clad aspiring chunin. The only thing that could have been more surprising than finding the blonde-haired ninja in the library, was to find out that he was actually reading in said library. Oddly enough, that was exactly what he was doing. Studying an actual book, something she had never seen him do in all her years of stalking. Her complete surprise led her to check 3 times for A, but upon detecting none, decided that what she was seeing was simply a very elaborate prank, and settled in to watch and wait for the punchline, from a safe and undetectable distance of course. Naruto was actually rather surprised to find that, in the past day and a half, he had discovered that knowledge was fun. It was like a puzzle, and, with this new knowledge flooding into him, all the pieces were coming together. Why did Sasuke want to revive his clan? Why, they were all killed by his brother, who had gone insane. What interest did the weird snake man have in Sasuke? Why had he gone after the boy? Well, the weird snake man was actually Orochimaru, one of the 3 legendary Sannin, and the man that had abandoned the village a few years after Naruto was born. His goal in life was to master all in the world and obtain immortality, and the Sharingan that Sasuke had, with its ability to copy others, was perfect for that goal. Not only that, but the weaknesses of the Sharingan were being revealed, as tales were told of legendary Sharingan wielders being defeated in battle. Hiding from the opponent was a valid strategy, as was simply turning around, as hand seals can't be copied if they were hidden. Genjutsu were worthless, but something as simple as a smokescreen, or really thick mist, was more than enough. Not only that, but as Lee had proved before the first exam, simply being faster than an opponent would work as well, and using chakra to augment attacks, was something that the Sharingan couldn't predict, no matter how good it was. Plus, ninjutsu that couldn't be copied, the example being the first Hokage's wood in his battle against Madara Uchiha, gave the user a huge advantage. In essence, the Sharingan was an insanely powerful bloodline riddled with weaknesses, if only one knew how to exploit them. And all this was learned on that first day. For the second day, Kyuubi had set him to rounding out his history knowledge. Naruto had finished that about an hour ago, and was now slowly working his way through basic maths. Initially, of course, he had been furious at being forced to learn what was literally the most boring subject in history, but now that opinion was slowly changing, and Naruto was really starting to get into it. Things like trigonometry would let him rapidly calculate the distances between him and an enemy using things as simple as their shadows to figure it out. Vectors, a part of advanced calculus, showed him angles and speeds, the exact source of things needed to increase his accuracy with throwing weapons, calculate courses on intercept missions, and other things like that. And that wasn't all. Everything he learned on his second day in the tower was applicable in the real world, and that was that. With the help of what Kyuubi called his ridiculous retention ability, they finished maths halfway through day 4, and moved on to applying what he had learned to his actual physical fighting style. First up was weapons, the easiest thing to correct. Really, it was a simple matter of adjusting how he threw them, and then integrating this new throwing style into his muscle memory. It only took a few hours to succeed, leaving the Kyuubi to start teaching him something entirely new to him. Back when Kakashi had taught Team 7 the tree climbing exercise, Naruto had noticed that Sasuke had gained a massive speed boost. He had, at the time, thought that this was because of all the muscle building running up a tree required, but Kyuubi had revealed that this was not the case. Instead, Sasuke had taken the tree climbing exercise to the next step, something Sakura had also done since then, although not in time for the battle on the bridge. Of course, no one had bothered to tell Naruto about it. Still, Kyuubi was soon working with the blonde ninja to rectify this mistake, and in no time at all, Naruto was zipping around just as fast as Sasuke had been in the fight with Haku. Then the last day of the second phase came. Now then, I'd say you've caught up to your peers on weaponry. At the very least you're 90% accurate, far better than before. You're probably twice as fast as you were 5 days ago too, so that's good. To be honest, there's not much more I can do. I don't know any taijutsu styles, I never had any reason to learn ninjutsu, and I've never bothered paying attention to either. I'm pretty much all taught out. Why? Shouldn't you have some super cool explosion that you can teach me? Nope. I'm pretty much done. So what do I do for the rest of the day? I don't know, work out or something. You can never be too strong. So he did. Could all the competitors that passed the second portion of the exam please report to the first floor? Could all the competitors that passed the second portion of the exam please report to the first floor? Could, and so on. Naruto dropped the weights he had been lifting, and got up, heading up from the basement where he had been working out. It was a matter of moments to freshen up a tiny bit, just enough to keep the stink from knocking anyone out, and then he emerged from the bowels of the tower, and moved to join his teammates, who were waiting for him. Soon, the Hokage was talking, but Naruto didn't pay much attention until he heard the Hokage mention the history of the exams. History was so useful. These exams are not simply tests. Although they're public, and indeed, their primary purpose is to test our shinobi, and discover if they are worthy of the title of Chunin, there is also a second, darker purpose. Into the silence, the Hokage smirked, and spoke. The second purpose is war. The shocked mutters seemed to make the Hokage smirk even more, and he continued with that knowing grin still on his face. War. For years, war ravaged our nations, tearing our lands apart, and killing people in pointless displays of strength. A peace has fallen over these lands, in a complex web of alliances, preventing any side from moving without being countered by an equal and opposite force. These exams serve as a way to show off our strength without devastating each other, and even serve to jumpstart entire economies, bringing entire nations out of obscurity. Small countries who do well in the exams gain fame, and the missions, and income that come along with it, while any nation that fails to impress the potential customers watching, loses that same income, along with their prestige, and may eventually fail, losing the little war that is being waged. The red-haired boy from the sand whose name Naruto had somehow forgot shifted uncomfortably, and then said, "Let's get on to the fighting." The Hokage frowned, and all the senior ninja in the room stirred a little at the obvious disrespect, but the elderly leader of Konoha seemed to brush the insult off, and instead smiled. Very well. Hey. The sickly-looking special Jonin appeared, saying, in the middle of a pair of coughs, "Hello, my name is Hei Jekko, and I'm the proctor for the third phase of the Chunin exams." They stared at him, every single prospective Chunin thinking in unison, how can a guy so sick be a ninja? He seemed to blush a bit, as if he knew what they were thinking, but forged on regardless. Anyway, unfortunately this year we have far too many competitors, either because the test was too easy, or you all are too cough good. So we're going to be holding coughs and preliminaries. Naruto let his mind wander through the complaints, and focus once more when the sickly proctor started talking once more. Yes, we are holding them now. I'm sorry if you got hurt during the second exam, but that is the nature of things. Cough now, this will be one-on-one elimination style combat. If you lose, you're out. Now, if you want to drop out now, please do so, it won't affect your team in cough in any way. Almost immediately, Kabuto, the silver-haired genin from the first test that had given them information on Gar, and Lee, raised his hand, saying, "I quit." He walked out after having a brief conversation with his teammates, causing some muttering amongst the ninjas standing near the Hokage. When it was clear no one else was willing to drop out, Hade said, "Alright, this board will be what is deciding your fate. It will randomly select the matches from among the shinobi present. Since there are only 20 of us now, there will be 10 matches, and the winners will proceed to the third round." The board started to flash, and flicker through names, until finally, it settled. Rock Lee vs Sakura Haruno. Sakura-chan. If I defeat you, will you go on a date with me? No. If you defeat me, will you go on a date with me? I said no. Very well. Then let us fight to the best of our abilities. The proctor blinked, and looked between the two. Lee was in his strong fist stance, and Sakura was in a shaky version of the basic academy stance. This match wasn't going to last long. Begin. Thud. And Sakura was unconscious on the ground, while Lee stood over her, a frown on his face. The proctor chuckled, and shook his head. Winner, Rock Lee. As Rock Lee walked up the stairs to have a hushed and confused conversation with his sensei, the green-clad Might guy, the board started flashing again until the next two names appeared. Ino Yamanaka vs Kyubi Inizuka. Hey, it wasn't a happy man. The Chunin exams were supposed to be an exhibition of skill, a way for Konoha to impress the other villages, to showcase their skill, and instead, this. The first two fights involved two powerful ninja of Konoha fighting against what essentially amounted to two civilian-level fighters, Ino and Sakura. They wore their hair long, they dressed like no ninja should dress, and they had no fighting skills to speak of. Sakura had been so damn pitiful that Lee had been surprised that he had beaten her so easily. And representatives from two foreign nations were present to watch the whole thing. After a brief round of posturing, bragging, and name-calling, Heiei called the start of the match. 2 seconds later, Ino was on the ground groaning, and Kiba was unknowingly matching Lee's pose from earlier. He turned to the proctor and said, "I guess you should call it. Is she okay?" The proctor snorted and shook his head. Winner, Kyubi Inizuka. Kiba frowned and walked back up the stairs before entering a hushed conversation with his teacher Kurenai to match the one Lee and Guy were still engaged in. Heiei just glanced at the board, trying not to look towards the teams from Sand and Sound. He didn't even want to know what they were thinking. The board flashed again, names racing across it at a furious rate. Finally, they settled. Joji Akimichi vs Orochimaru. I'm doing this for Borbeck. Figures are fatty like you would fight for food. What did you call me? Alright brat, now is as good a time as any to start. Start with what? You've improved far faster than anyone has any right to since I woke up, but you still have weaknesses. One of them is analyzing your opponent. What do you mean? Every fight you've been in so far has been fought on the spur of the moment. You have yet to make so much as a single coherent plan, and won't work forever. Eventually you will face an opponent that is stronger than you, and can be beaten with the simple methods that you have been using so far. Eventually, you will need to learn how to make a plan, and in order to do that, you need to have some idea of what your opponent is capable of before you start fighting. How? Look at the two of them down there. Tell me what you see. Well, Choji is a little overweight. Whenever people make fun of him for being fat, he gets really angry, like this guy just did. Actually, I think all Akimichi are like that. What does that tell you? Well, this guy is from Konoha, so he should know that, which means he wants Choji angry. Now, focus on Choji's fighting style. What is he likely to do? Well, we read a lot about expansion when it comes to the Akimichi clan. Probably something to do with that. Yes, now look at him, and tell me how you could come to that conclusion without previous resources. Well, he's fat. And he has the Akimichi swirls on his cheeks, so I could figure that out. And his clothes look kind of loose on him, which is weird since he's probably rich, so he can get better clothes. That means they need to stretch so he can do his. Good. Now, why is the other guy trying to provoke Choji? As they spoke, Choji roared out a name and shot forward, now a rolling ball of meat. He wants Choji close. Which means he has some technique that requires close-up attacks. Now, the sunglasses-wearing kid fighting Choji raised his hand, which was now glowing. It brushed against Choji, and Choji immediately popped out of his meat tank. He bounced a bit, and then skidded to a halt, staggering as he went. How did you do that? The sunglasses-wearing boy grinned, and held up his glowing hand. I can absorb other people's chakra through my hand, and use it as my own. Thanks to that, by the way, I was feeling a little tired. Alright brat, who's going to win? The sunglasses-wearing boy charged forward, shouting, "This is the end." Choji. The Akimichi are known for having a lot of chakra, there's no way he ran out from just one blow. Partial expansion jutsu. And it was over. Choji had expanded his arm, and sent it flying at Yoroi, who hadn't even been able to dodge. The glasses-wearing Genin had taken the full force of the blow, and smashed hard into a wall, knocking him out in an instant. Winner, Choji Akimichi. Good job brat. Shino Aburam vs Gaara of the Sand. I surrender. Mutters filled the stadium as everyone looked at Shino in surprise. Gaara, who had just started walking for the stadium floor, turned around, and walked back, with no change in expression. Analyze. Shino's entire team looked scared, they're all eyeing Gaara. They're all afraid of him. Something happened in the forest, something bad, and they saw it, and because of it, they didn't want to fight Gaara. And is Gaara strong? Yeah. His teammates, even his teacher, they're all acting the same. They're all afraid of him. Good. Can you tell me why? Naruto hesitated, eyeing Gaara and his team, waiting, trying to figure it out. I don't know. I mean, all I know is that he is really stealthy, cause he snuck up on Sasuke, and that he's done a B-rank mission without getting a single scratch. That's not really enough to tell me anything. So it is. I don't know why they fear him, but I do know that you should. Stay away from him, got it. Of course. Dosu vs Shikamaru Nar. Begin. Shikamaru's Nar, which means that he's a shadow user. There aren't really that many shadows in the arena, which means he's at a disadvantage. On the other hand, this guy doesn't exactly look very maneuverable, and we've seen his attack, all of us have. I know for a fact that Shikamaru's really smart, so he's probably got the whole thing figured out by now. Plus, that Dosu guy is still hurt from his fight with Sasuke and Sakura, and it looks like his new gauntlet isn't as strong. From what Sakura said, his arm was pretty messed up by the explosion, so I'm calling this one Shikamaru. As Naruto was thinking, Dosu had charged as Shikamaru. Shikamaru had quickly lengthened his shadow and captured his opponent, and then he had reached for some explosive tags. He had them located in a position that Dosu didn't, same with the kunai he strapped them to. He threw them all around Dosu, and, when Dosu refused to surrender, he released his shadow and detonated them. Needless to say, Dosu was knocked out by the explosions, and Shikamaru was declared the winner. Sasuke Uchiha vs Kankuro. No need to analyze this one, just watch, Sasuke especially. Gotcha. Begin. Immediately, Sasuke sprinted forward, neither of them bothering to speak. Kankuro rushed as well, showing surprising balance considering the massive bundle on his back. They were soon on top of each other, exchanging blows and rapid fire, but that didn't last long. Sasuke was obviously outmatched, being driven back with every exchange, and only barely able to keep pace with his older counterpart. That is, until Sasuke struck a direct blow to Kankuro's head, knocking it clean off. Suddenly, the bundle around Kankuro's back unwrapped, and out of it shot Kankuro. The first Kankuro, the one that had been fighting Sasuke, suddenly sprouted an extra pair of arms, and raced towards Sasuke, who had jumped back after knocking off Kankuro's head. Sasuke jumped back more, trying to figure out what was going on, while the real Kankuro raced through a few hand seals, and muttered a name under his breath, too low to be heard. With that, Kankuro faded from sight, leaving only a puppet racing around, chasing a flipping, and fleeing Sasuke. Suddenly, with a surge of chakra, Sasuke's eyes turned into a pair of two Tomo Sharingan. Instantly, his movements changed. Instead of simply running away, he was now dodging around the puppet, and racing towards what appeared to be an empty patch of air. He was a few feet away from his apparent destination, kunai ready to throw, and puppet chasing after him, when the air patch suddenly shimmered, and out of it shot Kankuro, cursing up a storm. Sasuke skidded to a halt, and spun to face Kankuro, who was in midair. Sasuke started racing through hand seals, while the puppet approached from behind. Blades popped out of the puppet, and it raced towards Sasuke, blades extended. Sasuke finished ripping through hand seals, and shouted, fire style, Phoenix Age Fire Jutsu. 6 small fireballs shot out of Sasuke's mouth, racing towards Kankuro, who was still in midair. The puppet's blade smashed into Sasuke, and he cried out in pain. The fireballs hit Kankuro, who screamed, and hit the ground, badly singed, and unconscious. The puppet fell to the ground, the blades falling out of Sasuke, who was standing shakily, wobbling. The proctor looked between the two, and seemed to hesitate. Soon after though, he raised his hand, and said, "Winner cough Uchiha Sasuke." Sasuke collapsed, and vomited. Instantly, Kakashi was in the arena with a pail, and shaking Uchiha. Medics raced over to join him, already racing through hand seals. One of them held glowing green hands over Sasuke, and said, "The blades didn't hit any vital points, but he's bleeding bad, and it looks like he's poisoned too." Kakashi immediately said, "Can you heal him?" "Of course, the poison is strong, but an old one, we have an antidote. We'll need to take him to the hospital." As they were talking, the board was flashing. Finally, it settled on 2 names. Naruto Uzumaki vs Neji Hyuga. "I'm sorry, but cough could you all leave the arena, we have another fight." Kakashi looked up at the board, and visibly flinched. He turned to the last of his students, and said, "Naruto, I'll see you at the hospital when you're done." And he was gone, following the medics, and Sasuke out. Naruto grimaced, and jumped down, while Neji simply took the stairs. Naruto calmly strode to the center of the arena, already trying to figure out how to win, as per Kyuubi's instructions. Soon, Neji was there as well, facing him. The proctor glanced between the two of them, a frown marrying his sickly features. "Begin." Neji simply smirked, and settled into a fighting stance. "You stand no chance of victory. The instant you were chosen for my opponent, you lost." Naruto chuckled a little, and closed his eyes. "Kyuubi. Advice. Provoke him. Everyone has a weakness, make him reveal his." Naruto opened his eyes, and found Neji in the exact same stance he had been in moments ago. "What, you didn't attack while my eyes were closed?" "Of course not. That would be the move of someone that needs an advantage in this fight, someone like you. I am not weak, thus I did not attack. So what can you do? Why are you so strong?" Neji smirked. "Do you truly believe I will simply give you my secrets? It was worth a try." Neji smirked again. Naruto was starting to think that smirk was just his default setting. "I'm afraid that is simply not true. All your petty tricks, every move you can possibly make, I can see them all." Naruto grinned, remembering one of Kakashi's lines from a long ago fight. "Do you see the future?" Neji's smirk faded, and Naruto smirked in return. "Of course not, no one can do that. Do you see destiny?" That damn smirk returned. "Yes. Your destiny is defeated today." Naruto closed his eyes again. "What do I do? How do I get him to attack? He's not giving you anything. We can't insult him because we don't know what he is most proud of, that's what we have to learn." Naruto opened his eyes, and found Neji still staring at him, still in that same position. "Sorry Kyuubi, but he knows what we're trying to do. He's on guard, he won't tell us anything, and what he does say will be misleading. So what's your plan then? Shadow clones. It should let us gather enough intelligence to fight him on an even level, more or less. Who are you talking to? What? My eyes are trained to pick up on body language, to understand how people feel, and what they are doing by how they stand, how they hold themselves. You were just having a conversation with someone. And who do you think that was? Careful boy. Look at the Hokage, he's wary, so are the other Jonin. They know of me, and they fear me. Stay on guard. I don't know. An informant perhaps. Telling you of my abilities. Neji turned his head to look up into the stands. Dear cousin, you wouldn't do that, would you? Naruto frowned, and turned to look up into the stands. There, he saw the pale-eyed girl from his class, Hi something. Suddenly, he spun to look at Neji, and realized something. You two have the same eyes. Yes, we are blood cousins. Oh? No, she wasn't who I was talking to. Actually, I was talking to myself. I have split personalities. Hundreds of them. Thousands, even. The voices in my head tell me to sing. Neji frowned. You're lying. Let's get on with this. Neji smirked again, and settled deeper into his fighting stance. Yes. Let's. Naruto grinned, and made his favorite hand seal. In an instant, the arena was filled with clones. Neji smirked and said, illusions are useless. My eye seal. He held up a hand seal, and said, Byakugan. Naruto grinned madly, all of them, all at once. Then, with one voice, they said, illusions are ass. And with that, they charged. It was very quickly clear why Neji thought he would win. He was fast, he was precise, his every move a kill. Each strike was a setup for the next, every blow perfectly calculated to kill one clone, and prepare him to kill the next. There was no wasted motion, and in what seemed like seconds, it was just the two of them again. He's too fast. Way too fast. Try again, everyone has a weakness. Shadow clone jutsu. Again, the arena was filled with clones, and again, they charged. Neji smirked once more, and rushed forward, his hands flashing, obviously going after one Naruto in particular. He stormed through the sea of orange in a blur, and struck the Naruto he had targeted in the stomach, the smirk growing wider as he did. Then, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. The last three clones, and the real Naruto all shot towards Neji from behind, but he simply spun around, and struck with lightning speed and precision, popping the three clones, and sending Naruto flying. You see now? It is useless. I have seen your fate, and it is defeat. Naruto closed his eyes. I have a plan. Risky. But I can do my part. Go for it. Naruto opened his eyes, and without a word, filled the arena with shadow clones for a third time. Then, half the shadow clones made hand seals, and transformed into explosive tags, which the other half quickly slapped onto their backs. Then, they surged chakra through the exploding notes, and charged forward as one. Neji's smirk disappeared, and turned into a grimace. The clones were attacking in a set pattern, when coordinated with the varied timers on the explosive tags, making it so that it was nearly impossible for Neji to keep his balance, or even survive the firestorm that Naruto had created. But soon enough, Neji changed his pattern. Instead of simply mindlessly dodging, he once more moved with purpose. He once more targeted a specific orange-clad genin, simply dodging the rest. Within moments, he was right on top of his chosen target. Then, a piss-off look clear in his eyes, he surged chakra into his hand, more than enough to kill. Then he struck Naruto dead in the heart. Naruto froze, staggered back, coughed up blood, and disappeared into smoke. There was one last explosion behind Neji, and another Naruto shot towards him, propelled by the force of the blast. This Naruto, his back scorched and burned by the exploding tag, held two more of the tags, both of them sizzling rapidly, and nearing the ends of their fuses. As he flew by Neji at an incredible speed, he reached out, and slapped the tags onto the shock genin. They both went off simultaneously, and even as Naruto hit the ground, and skidded, leaving a trail of blood behind him, Neji flew into the arena wall, unconscious, and badly hurt. The whole arena was silent. Naruto slowly rose to his feet, until he was standing all the way up. Kyubi, don't heal me. What? Are you insane? Just wait. Let him call it, and then heal me. I want to win this fight without you. I need to prove that I can. Please. Alright brat. Until they call the match, and not a second later. Proctor, I think I won. The sickly special Jonin turned his head to look at Naruto, who was still bleeding badly from his back, his spine almost visible through the torn flesh caused by the explosion he himself had set off on his back. Proctor, soon would be nice. Naruto was speaking in a strained voice, struggling to stay conscious against the blood loss. Winner. Naruto Uzumaki. Instantly, Naruto fell to his hands and knees. Burning chakra surged through his body, out from his stomach, and towards his back. It felt hot and cold at the same time, and, even as he coughed up blood, Naruto felt the damage start to repair itself, felt himself start to stitch back together, no longer parts, and now whole. Naruto looked up, and found himself looking at the business end of the Hokage's kunai. Naruto. Am I talking to you? Naruto, now clad completely in a cloak of orange chakra, just gritted his teeth through the pain, and grunted out, yeah, it's me old man. Just a little healing. The Hokage withdrew his kunai, a grim look on his face. When this is all over, we are going to have a very serious talk. Naruto rose to his feet, feeling the last of the internal damage going away as he did, leaving only surface wounds. Alright old man. Now go to the medics. No, I'm okay, I just want to watch. The Hokage visibly hesitated, and then said, are you sure you'll be okay? Kyubi? Yes, you'll be fine. And I agree, you should watch the competition. Yeah, I'll be alright. The orange cloak faded away, and the Hokage stepped back, a grim look on his face. Very well. You are on a very short leash right now, Naruto, do not betray my trust in you. Naruto nodded, and started limping towards the stairs to take him back up to the top. He noticed out of the corner of his eye Ino re-entering the arena from the medic area, meaning she had woken up from the damage Kyubi had dealt her, if it could really be counted as damage, considering what Naruto had just done to himself. Naruto limped his way up the stairs, ignoring the looks he was getting from others, both Jonin and Genin. He made his way to a good spot, passing teammate as he did, noticing the tense stance of the red-eyed woman in charge of that team while he passed them. He reached his spot, and leaned against the rail, groaning in relief at the sudden lack of pressure on his legs, as their healing finished up. I'm going to finish up on you back. Fair warning, this is going to hurt. Naruto groaned in pain as the red chakra surged to his back, repairing damaged skin muscle and nerve cells. Even his feelings started to return, various ninjas finished repairing the damage to the field caused by the explosions, and the boards started flashing once again. Tenten vs Kin. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to my channel for more awesome content. See you next time, till then sayonara.